Alrighty, so nearly at the end of 2024. So got one big trip in. It didn't go to plan, but that's just how it is sometimes. It's just how it happens. I haven't done a lot on the bike since then, which a lot of people have noticed, and I've received a few emails. That's because I've been busy doing stuff. It's called work. But yeah, anyway, so they're saying, does the bike even still exist? Well, I can show you. There's the bike right here. So I have been a bit lazy with this in that I've only just booked it in to go for its 30,000k Desmo service, and you might see what these are here. Well, what do we have here? TKC 80 Continentals. They're ready to go on because the Motos ones are absolutely trashed. Even though you might say, oh, there's heaps of tread left. All these blocks are all cracked and it can't hold air for any more than a day. So they're gone. I did film on my way back from Perth along the Nullarbor, did a few things, but the GoPro decided to have a big hissy fit and I don't have any audio for the past 2.5 days. So I've had to send the GoPro away and just got the GoPro back yesterday. So mainly that's why I want to test this video here and use this GoPro before I throw it in the bin. But yeah, so the bike still does exist, as you can see here. So I've had a few questions like, what are you going to do to the bike now? What's left to do? The bike's pretty much how I like it now. There's not much to do at all apart from put the new tyres on, get the service, and the bike's good. Just have to soften up the front suspension just a little bit, which I've noticed since it's been on. So I'll cover that when I do the 30,000k little service video, that sort of thing. So that comes to the next thing. So the missus has even asked the question, so what are you doing on the bike next? I'm like, well, nothing really. She goes, well, you're going to do something for me. I'm like, all right, okay. So she wanted a little four-wheel drive. I'm like, oh, okay, sounds good. So it was pretty much sort of up in the air saying, oh, I want a new little four-wheel drive. Something different to the Mini, just to sort of putt around in, that sort of thing. I'm like, cool. Next day I found one. So absolute bargain for a very good reason. Now, I'm just gonna flip you around and you'll see what it is. See if you can guess what it is. It's pretty popular, little four-wheel drive. Bam. Jimny. So, picked this up for an absolute bargain. I did record the day I picked it up and drove it home. Now, this is a 2023 model. It had 4,200 Ks on the clock when we got it, and we got it a lot cheaper than what people are selling 50 and 60,000 kilometer vehicles for, but for a very good reason. Now, I can't remember if the missus said, please don't modify the vehicle, or could you please modify the vehicle? I'm not going to ask again because it just makes me look silly. So what I've done is I've gone and ordered all the parts for it to modify it, because I thought, well, yeah, it's got to be better modified. Surely she wants it modified. You can't keep it stock. And the fact it was modified when I bought it, I've put it back to stock. Now let's go through those parts right now. So when I bought it, it had an 80mm lift on it already, but there was something seriously wrong with it. The guy that was selling it knew that, so I was absolutely lowballed him and he just gave in, and yeah, I got it for that price. So in this little box here, you'll see that's the 80mm lift, the springs, shocks, and that sort of thing. Now, it's a full Tough Dog lift, but I'm gonna spray it all black with the Raptor paint. And yeah, just keep it all nice and black underneath, because the couple of other things that I do have. So Tough Dog fully adjustable steering dampener, upgraded stabilizer bar, and if we go in here, the main thing, which I've just started putting together, past the bike again, you might have seen this just before, ARB bull bar and carbon winch. Now, I just got the little 6,000 pound carbon winch, and the only issue is on the ARB bull bar, you can pick these holes to use, but then you have to drill another two to fully mount it because it is a lot smaller winch. Not so much of a big deal, but yeah, it is what it is. So I also ordered all this about 8 weeks ago, and that is fully adjustable front radius arms. And I've got the rear ones over there with extended bump stops. And this here is a larger battery tray. So I can put a bigger battery in and kill switch for the winch. You might see a stack of tyres here. That is what was on the vehicle, which probably not going to use. I'll put them on once the lift's on and go for a little bit of a test drive, but that's probably about it. Mainly because they are the original rims. They're 31-inch tyres, and yeah, the rims are too narrow for those sort of tyres. I think the 31, like size-wise, is okay, especially for what I have planned to do with the vehicle. So let's cut now to the day I picked the vehicle up, which is about, well, 10 weeks ago now. Been waiting 8 weeks for those front radius arms, so it's about 10 weeks ago. And then me putting this vehicle back to stock. A few little things popped up, which is very interesting. So we'll do that right now. Alrighty, first trip in the Jimny, just picked it up. It handles like an absolute bucket of crap, essentially. Now we're doing 80 in 100 zone. It's all over the shop. Now, that's one reason why I got it cheap. This is stupid cheap. You probably think it's clapped out. No, this has done, let's have a look, 4,292 kilometers, and it's 18 months old. Yeah, so absolute bargain essentially. Got all the original suspension to put back in it. It's just that the guy that put this new suspension on, it's brand new, hasn't even been on the road with this suspension on except for me driving it right now. He didn't know what he's doing, and it's a schmozzle. And I think I just missed the turn off, but that's all right. I was going to get Android Auto connected, but my phone's not letting that happen for some reason. But it's all good. We'll get home eventually. But the plan is to put it all back to complete stock. So I've got all 4 wheels, all mags. So they've bought a second set of mags the same, put these Chinese 31-inch tyres on it. A little bit too big for the lift. So if you go full lock, it does rub. But yeah, we can fix that. We'll get just something slightly smaller. It doesn't need to be crazy. These ones are a little bit too wide too, a little bit fat. Oh, we're doing 95. And she's all over the shop. She's like bouncing everywhere. It's a fun little mobile though. Comes with like every single bell and whistle. So I sort of feel bad that I completely like undercut the dude. I just lowballed him big time and he just needed to get rid of it. So absolute bargain, considering there's ones that are selling now for like $15,000 more than what I paid for this, and they have 40,000 more Ks on the clock. So yeah, absolute bargain. But yeah, we'll get this home. We'll talk about it more. It's pretty late now, so the sun's going down, so it's going to be dark pretty soon. But we'll talk about this more tomorrow, and I'll show you around. It comes with like every single accessory you could possibly buy for a Jimny, like plastic wires that's just stuck on. But all that's coming off, and we will start from scratch and then build it back up to how it should be. Oh, we've got a car ahead. Oh, saying I'm going to crash into a car apparently, because the car in front of me is going slower than me. System warning. But anyway, we'll get home and talk about this more there. Alrighty, so the missus and I probably made the biggest unnecessary purchase for the year yesterday. In saying that, we don't need it, it's more of a want thing. And here it is. Ooh, Jimny. Now she looks brand new. It's been lifted, but she's not brand new. She's 18 months old. But in saying that, it's got 4,000 kilometers on the clock. And car's gone past, making it all super noisy. So this would have to be the worst car I've ever driven at the moment. And that's one reason why I got it. Stupid cheap. Like, I felt sorry for the guy when I sort of handed the money over to him, but he's sort of in a position where had to sell it. So it's one of those in the right spot at the right time sort of things. Miss is going to drive this around with a Mini, alternate, bit of fun, do a bit of Forbian. Now, the guy, I've got all standard suspension to put it back to stock, and that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to put it back to stock, make sure everything's A-OK, which I'm pretty sure it is because I know the problem straight away. When he's done the lift, he never even took it for a test drive. So he went and got 31s, which these tyres are actually illegal for Victoria because they've had studs in them, so I don't know where he's pulled them from. You can see the holes in the... So it actually had studs in the tyre. And 31s are just slightly too big if you don't have the suspension set up right. Underneath, it's all full Tough Dog. It should be a 2-inch lift, but I'm going to pull it out and have a look. And also, I don't know what model springs are in there because I have to get a bull bar for the front. There's like no other way around it. These, like, I nearly cleaned up a Wallaby on the way home. So one thing he hasn't done, which I believe to be 90% of the problem, is he hasn't caster corrected it. So the diff's rotated up a little bit and he hasn't put in proper caster bushes for the adjustment, and it hasn't had a wheel alignment. So what that means is, we'll jump in. Oh, this whole car was like a barn find, absolutely covered in, oh, it's gonna be a bit dark, absolutely covered in spider webs, and the amount of spiders that I've had come out of this thing's ridiculous. But so it's got a few things that are coming up, slightly disabled at the moment because of the steering geometry is way out. But 4,367 kilometers. Let me get rid of that. But yeah, we'll just have a look inside. So it's got like crash function, temporarily disabled. I've plugged my computer into it, I can reset it. It's just because the steering geometry is way out, it has a little bit of a hissy fit. So I'll fix that up. But it's done 4,367 kilometers. And it had all these bells and whistles. It had like a little tray thing here and another tray thing over the stereo. It's got the armrest. It's got another cup holder. So yeah, she's an auto, so it's a bit slower on the highways, but better for off-road. Oh, and another thing that I do have to take off are these bloody sun visors. A lot of people go, oh, leave them on, I like them, it protects the sun. No, the issue we have here is it's a perfect spot for spiders to hide. And what happens is you get in your car and you got a massive spider sitting under here, you got to wind your window down and it jumps at you. So these are just some other things I've already taken out, just rubber mats, and that's the tray that was above the stereo, and that's the one that was above the dash, which I don't like having crap in front of you when you're driving. But yeah, I just put all these little tie down points in. So it's had like the full, I suppose, like eBay catalogue thrown at it, but it hasn't gone anywhere. It just means I've got to take it back down to stock and then I'll get it registered, because at the moment that's how I bought it. It's no big deal. And get a decent set of tyres for it. But at the moment, all I'm going to do is I'll put it back to stock and you'll see it again, and then I'll go through pretty much like a whole nother little mini series on working on this thing, because one of the first things that you must get, especially if you live around my area, is, as I said before, a bull bar. Get rid of that plastic heap of crap. Because yeah, driving home last night, I had to slam the brakes on like it was coming up a hill, because I'm pretty sure a Wallaby touched the grill as it hopped across the road. And I'm just settling in for a massive storm here at the moment, so starting to get a bit noisy in the shed. But yeah, all these visors have to come off. I'll wait for a hot day, leave it in the sun, and they'll just come off with a bit of sticky. And yeah, so yeah, completely unnecessary purchase, but wanted one for a while, have a bit of play with it, and yeah, just something different. These things are like completely capable off-road, so people think that, oh, they're a small four-wheel drive. No, these are a legit four-wheel drive, live axles, low range, there's hill descent control, and you can do a lot with these as well because they're so light. I think this is 1110 kilograms, so it's going to be a bit of fun. Yeah, all right, let's rip the suspension out, and the next time you see this, it'll be back to stock. So I was just going to show you the completed 4B after it was all put back to original, but something interesting last night. So I managed to just get the rears done just after dinner, and I think I found one of the big problems with the rear springs. So I've taken the rear springs out, and can you see what that says? Yeah, that's interesting. So I've looked at that number, and everything says that they are front springs. Unless you're doing like custom stuff, you know, you can alternate springs around. That's not a big deal, but in this case, it's a specific kit. So I haven't taken the fronts off yet, I'm just about to do that, being these ones. It's getting a bit dark. Yeah, I can't read anything that's on the spring yet. I can only read what it says. It says left, and the other one says right, so that's correct. But I'm also guessing that they're supposed to be for the rear. And also to go with the fact that, you know, there's no caster correction, and yeah, so we'll put it back to normal, get it running right, and then we'll build up the suspension from there. So these springs are actually 80mm springs, so it's got an 80mm lift, and with no caster correction, it's a big no-no. So I'm going to look at doing the full arms on it, and also the spacer for the prop shaft, because it's going to obviously be extended a bit more. I left the extended brake lines on because, you know, the lift's going to go back in it in a few weeks anyway, so that won't be an issue. I just have to get this re-registered and get a roadworthy done, so that's why I'm putting it back to original, and then we'll build it back up from there. Oh, and also to put the bull bar on, if they are the correct front springs, which they should be, all I need to do is get the spacers, and that'll counteract for the weight of the bull bar that I want to put on. Oh, you can't make this up, seriously. So, as I showed you before, the ones I took off the rear, TDC 1002, and it says front on it. So I took them off the rear. Just taken the front wheel off. And let's get in there a bit closer, just so we can't make this up. TDC 1005. Now, if you put that into any Google platform, you'll see that these are Tough Dog 80mm for the rear. The only thing he's actually done right is that one says left hand, and it's the left hand side of the car. So, what an absolute muppet. That's why she's bouncing around all over the joint, because these here are rated a lot softer than the 1002s. The 1002s are for the front for a steel bull bar. So I'm gonna have to go over and check everything. So braided brake lines, that's fine. Extended brake lines with that, that's good. This all has to come off anyway. The spacers in that have to come off, but I'm gonna have to go bleed everything, and that should fix one of the sensor issues. So this also should have a remote ABS relocation, which is just extension lines essentially. But yeah, what a muppet. Oh, and how crap these wheels are. So on the stock rims, sorry, not the wheels, the tyres, Roadstone, never heard of them before. They've had studs in them, or you can put studs in them, but they're that badly balanced. So you've got a 30 gram and a 40 gram on this side, and then you've got like 100 and, I'll spin it around, I think it's 190. The smaller ones are 5 gram, the bigger ones are 10 gram. And the rears were like that when I took them off too. So when I was driving at home, not only do you have to put up with the bouncing from the suspension and springs being wrong, but the vibration from the wheels. Vibration from the wheels was terrible. Like that would not pass roadworthy. It's too much weight. So they'd have to take it off, rotate the tyre, trying to get better, or even better yet, get decent tyres. So it's a good little advertisement. Don't really care what brand tyres you get, as long as they're decent tyres. Those are not decent tyres. So they're terrible. I don't even feel like giving them away. I think I'll just throw them out. And yeah, just because the springs fit and they look the same, they're not. They're different spring rates. Idiots. Oh, and also, if you see on a Jimny, that's not a recovery point. That's just your tie down point. A lot of people stuff that up too. Wow. Well, I do feel a bit better that the fact that once I take all this out and put it back in, it's going to be a lot better. But we just, we'll get it back to factory specs first. I have to take the stabilizer out. Yeah, this one shouldn't take too long. All right, so it seems the start of any car build, well, especially in Australia, you got to thank your sponsors, and it seems that every car video is sponsored by King Chrome. So you see all my King Chrome stuff here, and I've got some King Chrome jack stands there. Only problem is, oh, and also, you know, Castrol oil, that's for the van, but not for this one. The only problem with that is, my sponsor is my bank account. I don't have any sponsors, so that's why I've got a fancy green King Chrome set. Yeah, all the ones that are sponsored only have blue, but yeah, fancy. Anyway, the first night I started modifying this car, and that just meant ripping all this crap out. So the guy that owned it seemed to have bought everything he possibly could off eBay. So that's over the radio, little center console thing over the radio there, some mats. This little dash here literally goes the front of the instrument cluster. I hate these things so much, mainly because if you put anything on that and something hits you in the front, it's just going to come straight at your head. Also, the visors. So I'll show you on the car. So all the little sun visors that, you know, go on here, and got them had them for the back as well. Mainly because in Australia, as you can see here, see all these cobwebs? Yeah. Actually, I think the other one's a lot worse than this one. Yeah. So this is a rear one. You see all the cobwebs? The reason why I don't like them is because, one, they don't really do a lot, just get your windows tinted, which I still have to do. And if you wind down your window when you're in the car, bam, spider will jump in. And this car was pretty much a barn find, and for like the 4 weeks after I bought it, nothing but spiders. Every day I'd come out, the whole thing covered in spider webs. Had to actually fumigate the car. So I fumigated all the inside, and I haven't had that much of an issue since. So I put some Razorback seat covers on, 3D floor mats, which are a little bit dirty at the moment, can't see because I'm in the shed. But yeah, this car's mint. Now I get to modify it. First modification, pretty much because I live in the bush, it's going to be the bull bar. Bull bar has to go on. Oh, and also my sponsor, i.e. my bank account, also purchased a set of Altic driving lights for it. I need to make a bracket or re-drill the bull bar to get these to fit, because ARB being ARB, they've drilled the holes for their own headlights to fit. Sorry, their own driving lights to fit. So that's a little bit annoying. I wish I just left it alone so you can drill your own, but it is what it is. What we'll do first though, is we will get some measurements somewhere to show you how much it will drop just by putting on the standard bull bar on stock suspension. Now the reason why I'm changing the suspension or putting it back to what it came with, I don't know if I'm going to keep the 80mm lift. I might go a little bit lower if I want to see how it goes. But if you've got a Jimny, actually I'll put this down and I'll show you. All right, stock Jimny suspension is super soft. That's just me lightly tapping it. I'm not even really putting any effort into it. And she keeps going, so the shockers are not very good. So that's me rocking it and then letting go. So it should have stopped. It shouldn't have gone that far at all. So that is why we need to put those in. But yeah, I'm going to paint them first mainly because they're silver or grey, however you want to call it. Everything underneath the car is black, and then we're going to have blue sway bar and blue radius arms front and rear. So I want to cut down on the colours a little bit. Plus, I don't know how, but these have a little chips in them already, and it's got a little slight bit of rust on them, so it's best to clean them up. I'll make them black, and yeah, while they're drying I'll start pulling the front off so we can put the bull bar on. We'll get that measurement first for the front drop, so once the bull bar's on we can actually see how much it drops. Bull bar's pretty light, so I think it's about 18-20 kilos, but with the stock suspension, if you were thinking you could just put a bull bar on without toughening up the suspension, you might be in for a bit of a shock. But I think if we go from the bottom of the guard to the center of the hub, that might be a good place to measure. Just need to find my tape measure. Okay, so maybe just resting on top of the hub. It's only gonna be a rough. So if we go resting on top of the center hub to just on that rough angle there, we're looking at 425. We'll see how much it drops just with this soft suspension. I'm guessing that's probably going to be closer to 400, maybe even under. But yeah, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do a step-by-step guide on how to put an ARB bull bar on or anything like that. There's already heaps of those out there. With this car, I'm just going to show you in stages essentially, and if anything goes wrong or some little tricks or something like that, we'll go from there. But one thing I will do is once the suspension's in, I'll leave the stock wheels on and then we'll have a look from there. Then I'll put the 31s on with the stock rims and yeah, see what we think, because I do need to order some other rims for this, and if you got any ideas, let me know. Whether I'm going to go down the reduction gear route later on or not, might have to, but at this stage I'm not going to. But yeah, if this thing can just putt along, I'm happy with that. But first things first, let's paint them. I'm not going to paint the springs, just the shocks and the arms. And yeah, not the jack. The jack can stay out. And yeah, and hopefully I got it right by the missus saying, could you please modify my vehicle? We'll find out very soon, I guess.